the more you work on it, the more you will discover that, oh, I'm still missing this or that. So it's a they are life-changing skills. How conscious are you about yourself? Do you know your personality? Do you know your type of communication or your type of personality?
It's time to pivot in your confidence, career, and compensation with the 5-Minute Career Hack Podcast every Monday and Thursday. Now, get ready for a special interview curated just for you. Welcome back to another episode of the 5-Minute Career Hack Podcast, where every week we bring you 2 videos. One where we give you 5 career hacks that you can implement in your career and in your business. And then we also come together once a week to talk to a business leader or someone with a unique career journey, just to share their story and expose them to our amazing audience. Before I hop in, I just want to say thank you to everyone who makes this channel happen. Because you log in every single week and you give us comments and you share it with your friends, we have been able to do this for almost 3 years. It's such an honor and a pleasure. But I'm going to hop right in. But before I do, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Subscribe so you can be made aware of our videos that come out every single week. We don't want you to miss the action. So today I am so honored and pleasured to be sitting down with Amin. So Amin has been working with the 5-Minute Career Hack team for the last 3 weeks, if I'm right, 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah. He's been working with the 5-Minute Career Hack team. Shout out to Brave Communities, who participates in the Professional Fellows Program. We have Amin here from Algeria, and he has been here with the team. And I thought it would be so cool. We're at the Dawa Studios, by the way. I thought it would be so cool for Amin to sit down and just talk about his experience and us to get to know more about him and his leadership. So I'm not going to introduce Amin. I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell us about him.
So hello, Candice. I'm super happy to be here, and I've been very honored to spend the last weeks with you here in Austin, Texas, which is a beautiful city, and I invite everyone to have a visit here. So my journey with the 5-Minute Career Hack, it's been really amazing. So I've got the chance to work with you, learn from you, share my expertise and my experience. And so how did I get here? It was through an application form that I filled to join the Professional Fellowship Program, which is a program organized by, funded by the U.S. Department of State and organized by Legacy International. So I have been put into your amazing company because they found that we are matching. So, yeah. And then I came here and I realized that, wow, such an amazing match.
Yeah.
So it really fits my background because I have been also involved in education, training, coaching, and mentorship, and also leadership. So I'm Amin from Algeria. It's a beautiful country in the Mediterranean region. And it's a country which has a lot of energy, a lot of culture, rich history, and very open-minded people. So my background has been mostly in education and leadership in the civil society sector. So now I currently work as a university teacher. I teach linguistics, oral and written communication for students, and I have also had a lot of training and coaching experiences with different organizations in Algeria, also in Europe, and I have started my first job as a teacher, and then I moved into working as a communication officer, and then I got in love with research, so I started doing a PhD. So I worked on analyzing the attitudes of learners and trainees towards the implementation of information communication technologies.
Nice.
And I finished my PhD, and then I had always this love for leadership. So I thought that one of the main important ways to follow up and to implement leadership is by learning about politics and governance. So I have had a scholarship to study in the College of Europe. And it was a very interesting experience. And then I developed my skills into policy analysis. I worked as a policy analyst with many in many occasions, and training I think has been a focal point in my life. So I started it. I discovered it through my NGOs. So I was like 17, so I got into the NGO field, and I was like learning, and we had so many trainings. So I think everybody who has allowed it to do so, it has been very important in building my capacity and making me the person I am today. So the NGO sector has been very important. So, and then I started volunteering as a speaker, as a trainer, and step by step I could develop my skills.
Yeah.
And so I think, as Nelson Mandela said, education is one of the most important tools to bring an important life-changing impact in the world. So this is why I think your company, the 5 Minutes Career Hack, has a great value and has been changing the lives of so many people. And I do believe in the message and the vision that you have, and I really foresee a bright future for it.
I love that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I didn't prep him and tell him to give us such good shout outs, but I really do appreciate it. And I agree 100% when we had our first introductory call and they introduced us to you. And I got to know your background and that you were a coach and a trainer and a speaker. I was like, oh, what a perfect match. And then all these ideas started swimming in the heads of Jamila and myself of what we could do together with Amin and 5 Minute Career Hack. So it's been definitely a really good experience for us to share ideas and just learn from one another throughout this process as well. And you mentioned that, you know, being a trainer. When I listened to your experience, then I started thinking about myself and Jamila and Alicia and all the experiences that we have that qualify us to be able to podcast, train, coach, facilitate, because we have so many different experiences that I think have built the confidence to be able to get on a mic and train people or stand in front of a group of people and train them. And that's where I saw some similarities as I listened to you. I was like, this makes sense. If that's a hack that somebody can get from someone from us right now, is make sure that you are hyper-focused on all the experiences that you have in your career. It doesn't have to be married or tied to just one industry or just one job. Because you have worked in several different sectors, you're able to stand confidently and talk about just about any topic. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that. So I think that everybody needs to learn not everything, but a bit of everything. Mm-hmm. So being someone who has a vision to bring a positive impact in the world necessitates, in my opinion, opening up to have a multiple vision on different perspectives and angles. So it's very important to be multidisciplinary. Mm-hmm. This is why throughout my academic and professional career, I tried so many things. I tried to learn. I think it's very important to be curious. Mm-hmm. It's very important to learn, also becoming and always sustaining your ability to be modest and humble and hungry to get more knowledge. And I remember a Chinese wise man who has this philosophy of empty your cup. So the more you learn, the more you will learn that you are not really the one who knows everything. So you need to discover, you need to learn, you need to have a multidisciplinary approach to get the ability to adapt. And I think it's a very important skill. So adaptability. Absolutely. So as a coach or a trainer or a teacher or leader, you need to make sure that you are on the track and make sure that you are there to help others, but helping others necessitates you to have a certain level knowledge, of conscientiousness and awareness. So let's imagine somebody sinking in the sea. He needs others. I mean, how can he help others if he's sinking himself? So save yourself. Save yourself from
Yeah.
what? Maybe from fear, maybe from ignorance, maybe from so many things that you are not aware of. And you always need to make sure that you are surrounded with positive people around you
Yep.
who can help you, who can also push you forward. So learn, have a multidisciplinary approach, but also ask for help when needed. And don't be afraid to say, I don't know this,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
never say, I don't want to learn. So
Yeah.
just learn about it. And
Absolutely.
just
You
keep on
dropped
going.
probably about 5 hacks right there in just what you said. And I want to go back to the one where you talked about Nelson Mandela's quote about just educating yourself. Basically, learn as much as you can learn, right? And then you talked about surrounding yourself with people. So we don't learn by being isolated.
For sure.
I learned the most from the teams that I led in corporate America, from having these amazing team members who taught me more than any book or manual could teach me, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't interested in being the smartest in the room ever.
That's
I actually
amazing.
was like, let me just surround myself with very smart people. And then even more importantly, people who had disciplines and knowledge that I didn't possess, right? So that I can learn from them, or they could fill a gap where we need it in order for the
sure.
team to accomplish their objectives. And so, I can have all the knowledge in the world, but it's just the potential of the power that I have in the world.
Yeah.
Me being able to activate and actually act upon this knowledge that
sure.
I'm learning, which is what I hear from you, and then also to be able to surround myself with people who can help me apply this knowledge. I think that's where the difference maker is where you can go out and make a courageous step and
Yeah.
come all the way to the U.S. from Algeria and get to know an entirely new group of people with confidence the way that
Yeah.
you have. I think it comes from just what you've practiced in the principles
For
that
sure.
you talked about.
Yeah, I completely agree with you in the sense that you said having all the knowledge of the word is not enough.
Yeah.
And this will not make you different than a normal computer,
Yeah.
which has a very large amount of storage, documents, whatever. Now
Yeah.
AI is revolutionizing everything. So
Right.
any information or knowledge you're looking for can be probably found
Yeah.
on the internet. So the ability to manipulate data, to explain, to understand, to analyze is what we need. And you've talked about the importance of having a bright team around you. That's incredibly important because you can never know everything. You can never be skilled at everything. You need to have the gut to say I wanna. I'm not at the level of competency in this kind of topic or this kind of skill. So people around you can help you move forward. And this is
Yes.
what I've been doing all the time. I just love to be around positive people.
Yeah.
And I have also some friends of mine who are also professionals like Farouk, like Larbi, like Karim, and these kind of friends, we always meet, and they are hungry for knowledge.
Yeah.
They read books, they do research, they travel for coaching, for training, and when I meet them and exchange with them, they are going to give me hacks. So instead of maybe spending a lot of time trying to learn something in a single conversation exchange, you can have it. And I do believe that everybody has something important to say.
Yeah.
Even other people that you may meet in conferences, in networking events, maybe in daily life situations, can teach you something.
Yeah.
So we are social beings.
Yes.
And so we need to analyze things around us and make sure that everything is going to have a value, and any action can have a reaction on us, and any small tiny situation can change our life
Yeah.
and can change the whole world, and as the butterfly effect articulates. Yeah.
Dr. Amin, you just walked us through like 5 different leadership principles and concepts right there. I'm not going to even attempt to repeat it, but I hope that everybody was able to pick up the many gems that you just shared with us. And thank you for expounding on the way that you move and the way that you lead yourself through these various aspects of the world and in your professional journey. So, Amin, thank you again for sharing just all the knowledge that you shared. One of the things that I wanted to have you talk about and just share, because I thought it was very unique. You recorded 3 episodes on a podcast for 5 Minute Career Hack. So everybody can be on the lookout for the amazing episodes that you dropped. And then you also have a webinar that probably will already be viewed once this podcast comes out. But I thought it was very interesting, the topics that you chose. I know I heard you talk about adaptability earlier as a skill that's necessary out there. But you chose effective communication, you chose leadership, and you chose emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And we didn't really talk about this because I think those are amazing topics, but I am very curious, what in your experience traveling internationally, all the everything that you've seen, heard, and done in your professional journey, what landed you specifically on those 3 topics as something that you felt that professionals who listen to our podcast needed to hear more on and practical tips on?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that these are maybe key topics that everybody needs to work on. And the more you work on it, the more you will discover that, oh, I'm still missing this or that. So it's a life-changing, they are life-changing skills that we are always trying to develop and improve and enhance. So whether we like it or not, we are social beings. So we will be always surrounded with people. We will work with people. We will serve people. We will have to listen to people. So emotional intelligence comes in as your guide towards adapting with the different personalities, and gaining interpersonal ability to deal with different people. Not everyone is the same. We are almost 8 billion people in this earth, and everyone has something different.
Nobody's the same.
Yeah, nobody's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and also nobody is living in a separate island.
Yeah.
So I think that it is important for everyone to learn how to adapt with the different personalities. There are people with different personalities, mentalities, aims, needs, wants. So the ability to analyze these differences will help you gain some hacks that will make you better at your entrepreneurship, better at your life, everything. So so emotional intelligence comes here and I think it's 4 main components that we need to consider here. So basically the first thing is knowing yourself. So self-awareness. How conscious are you about yourself? Do you know your personality? Do you know your type of communication or your type of personality, how you are dealing with things? So knowing yourself first. And then we can talk about self-regulation. So how are you going to regulate these type of emotions that you have? How are you using them for your own benefit and getting rid of the negative aspects of it, and how to, because emotions, after all, they are energy, huge energy, and they are like a representation of ideas that you had in your mind.
Right.
So emotions can sometimes be misleading.
Yeah,
so
their reactions too, right?
for sure, reactions. And the thing is that you need to learn to be proactive actors who do not just react, because reactions are not always putting you on the first front, you know.
Yeah.
And as a leader, you need to make sure that you are acting first, and then reacting afterwards with the logical and stable mindset. Okay.
Yeah.
So after self-regulation, we can talk about empathy. And here, empathy is not only about you, because you are not, as we said, you are not living in an island. So you deal with people. So having empathy towards others, trying to understand why this person behaves like this, why does he talk like this, how can I make sure to adapt with him, how can I make sure to be coherent and coexistence with him. Because after all, this will make him comfortable. I can make a good business with him. I can serve him better. I can teach him better. I can train him better, as you are doing in your company. And then we can talk about the social skills, so interpersonal social skills. So this is as far as emotional intelligence is concerned. And so then we talk about communication. So communication.
So can I interject though? Because I think, and they'll get so many of those great hacks. Because we got, if you haven't seen them already, if this episode doesn't air, Amin has 3 great episodes on emotional intelligence, leadership, and effective communication. I think they all work together, but I do want to kind of stay on emotional intelligence for a minute, because 5-Minute Career Hack has a course where we teach emotional intelligence inside of our Career Hacks Master's course. Alicia has an entire module on emotional intelligence. I remember when I first learned about it, I was actually working in a corporation, and they bought us the Emotional Intelligence 2.0 book.
Wow.
So that was my first time learning about it. And so I can learn and read all these things about emotional intelligence, but I think me applying that knowledge, to our point earlier, came from some experiences. Actually, I learned the most at times where I didn't have the highest emotional intelligence. And I heard somebody say recently that it's why this is so important is because when your emotions are very high, sometimes your intelligence is very low. And then when your intelligence is very low, sometimes your emotions, or your intelligence is very high, your emotions are very low, right? And so it's really a balance. But I think we learn how to practice this from self-awareness. Self-awareness is my favorite one, because it takes you to go back and observe and recall times where you didn't have emotional intelligence, and then what would I do differently in that situation. So I love the fact that you had decided that that's one of the podcasts that you wanted to record. And I'm interested, if you don't mind being vulnerable today, sharing maybe in a story or a time, maybe in your travels or in your professional journey, in your student journey, where you learned your biggest lesson on why it was important to have emotional intelligence that made you speak so eloquently about the subject, right? So I know there's a lot of experience back there, and I think our listeners will benefit from maybe hearing a personal story or maybe an instance where that light bulb went off for you, where you said, no matter what country, what company, what business you're doing, this is a necessary skill in order for you to be successful. So I'd love to hear more from you about maybe that instance or that aha moment you had.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, our whole life has had situations when we had to deal with emotions, whether our emotions or other people's emotions. And I think there are so many stories to talk about, but the thing that I would like to address everyone is that to reflect on every story or situations they have had and try to get a little bit out of the situation and imagine you were just watching the scene and make sure to be humble and modest and also objective. So tell to yourself, was it the best way I dealt with the situation? Could it be different if I made this adjustment or say a different word or addressed things in a different tone,
Yep.
intonation, whatever. So yeah, so I just would like everyone to reflect on
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and emotional intelligence is always there.
Yeah.
Is always there. Sometimes in some situations, you are just sitting in a place or trying to prepare a business meeting or training or anything, and then something might happen that was not expected, and you may have this emotional frustration.
Yeah.
So, what am I going to do about this?
Right.
But then here, the skills I've talked about, self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social interpersonal skills
Yeah.
comes in. Okay, so am I aware what I'm, who am I? So I am like this. I shouldn't behave like this. I should stay within the limits of my logical, my values, my principles. So here's the situation. What am I going to do? So then I go from this self-awareness to regulation. So regulating. So, okay, so here's the situation. What's going on? So this person said this, or this company canceled the meeting, or they canceled the business deal, or whatever. So this is what's happened. So how am I going to regulate? How can I navigate through this unexpected change? And then you can have empathy. You can say, oh, maybe this person who didn't show up in the meeting has had an accident. We can never know, huh? Maybe he has had something else, and then I need to be smart in communicating with him in an efficient way to try to make him comfortable that, okay, that meeting was very important for us. Maybe we lost something, but for sure I want to make sure that I don't want to lose you, so I want to make sure that you are doing okay. Maybe this kind of empathy will make the other person happy and more comfortable to sit with you again, and maybe the next meeting will be much better and fruitful and productive than the one you were supposed to have, for example. You see, so there is always something that can be improved, something that can be enhanced. So just make sure not to be fast and making conclusions. Always reach out, communicate, and go forward with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the way you spent that too. You gave a lot of many examples of times that maybe people, or you probably drawn from your own experience of times where you had to be more socially and self-aware. But the takeaway I got from that is just always be reflecting, right? And so sometimes in the moment, we're not completely aware of everything that's happening. But when you get home and you're journaling in your brag notes or in your career journal, to be aware and reflect on what happened today. Where were times where I didn't feel good? Where were times where I felt the best? Where were times that I felt just okay? And what caused that in that moment? And when you can go back and reflect on that and really evaluate those 3 points in your day, then you go into the next day probably even more regulated and socially aware and self-aware than you would have been if you hadn't. So I think that's an amazing way to think about it from a reflection standpoint. And thank you for sharing all those amazing examples.
You're welcome. I think it's also important to talk a bit about communication.
Yeah. So
that's
you
the
could give us a
podcast
quick
give us a
quick hack on communication. If you want to share a quick hack, and then I'm gonna roll us into our final 5 questions. We're gonna go spitfire, and I'm gonna ask you 5 questions because we've run out of time. But what we do know, Amin, is that we are gonna be in partnership for a while. So this is not the first or the last that you're gonna hear a 5-minute career hack in Amin. So if you want to share a quick hack on communication that you think the audience won't hear in the podcast or something you didn't say, and then I'll move us into our final 5.
I just want everyone not to miss the podcast. They are going to be very full of practical information, really, really life-changing hacks. So please watch them later on. But just to follow up from emotional intelligence, I talked a lot about it, but I just want to say that the next step after emotional intelligence, and maybe an overlapping skill, is effective communication.
Uh-huh.
So just want you to, I just want everyone to remember that we have two ears and one mouth for one reason, which is listening more and talking less. So the better you listen, the more you listen, the more you will be able to learn. More you will be able to open up, to discover, and to promote your understanding about others and what they want, and also discover new knowledge, update it, and so forth. I just remember this quote by Rumi, who is a mystical scholar from Persia. And he says, yesterday I was smart, I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. That's an amazing quote.
Love
The
that.
second quote that I love about this is Gandhi's quote, be the change you want to see in the world.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Model the
yeah.
behavior is what I say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. No, thank you. And again, you'll go deeper into those hacks in
sure,
the podcast episode. So I can't wait to share that with the world if we have not already. So we're wrapping up. I think that first of all, thank you for agreeing to sit with me and just have a deeper discussion about your fellowship. Definitely looking forward to continued work with us as time progresses. But just we appreciate everything that you've done here at the 5 Minute Career Hack. So I'm going to spitfire 5 questions. Can you answer them in 5
Yes, for
words or
sure.
less?
Yes.
That's a new game I just introduced.
Let's be efficient.
All right. So you're going to answer these questions. Try it in 5 words or less.
Okay.
Pressure is on, okay?
All right.
All right. What does leadership mean to you?
Positive impact.
Making a positive impact. Love it. What best practices for networking? If you had to give people 5 words or, a quick statement on some best practices for networking, you've done a ton of it. How would you advise the audience?
I would say reach to people, listen to them, and show them your value
Okay.
by words and also by actions afterwards.
Well, I
And
got it. Love it.
Yeah.
Listen, reach, show. That was good. What are some tools you use? I mean, you do so many things that you describe. What are some tools that you use or some methods that you use to stay organized?
So it depends. There are different methods for different topics and different projects, but yeah. So I sometimes use Trello tool. I just use simple. I try to simplify everything.
Okay.
So maybe just Google Docs, Sheets.
Perfect. All right. And last question that I have for you today. What has been your biggest learning in the Professional Fellow program that you are wrapping up this week?
Yes. So I think my gains. I have said at the beginning that knowledge can be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I mean delving into the culture, into the American culture, and having my interactions with you and your team, Jamila, and also Alicia, is more important than maybe reading a book from my home country about how American companies work. You see, so I delved into the culture, the professionalism, also the ability of your company to adapt. That's something I really love it. So I'm also fitting into that because I'm also someone who is spontaneous. I like sometimes. I mean, let's have. There is an idea. There is a project. There is a podcast. Let's film it. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, let's do
go.
it. So being open to change is a very important thing that I have noticed at your company. What I learned is how to prepare for podcasts. Yeah, so thank you very much for mentoring me and helping me. I learned a lot from you actually on how to write a podcast, how to develop it. and how to film it as well. Yeah, also going through some technical hacks that you showed me. Also, I gained, I learned about some AI tools with you, and yeah, I learned how to use the teleprompter. It was really a really good experience for me, how to adjust it, to adapt it. And yeah, so I've learned many things, and the most important for me is what I gained as human relations, contact, and yeah. So I thank you very much for having me in your esteemed company, which I foresee a very, very bright future, and it needs to develop more because the world needs it, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah,
Well, we
so-
appreciate you being a part of it, and we learn from you as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes,
I
yes.
really appreciate it. I've been honored and bestowed to have these amazing weeks with you here
Thank
in
you.
Austin.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here today. And again, like I said, I know this is not the last time we will chat.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll come to Algeria and we can
Yes,
chat live in Algeria.
you are very welcome. We need amazing people like you in our
yes,
country.
yes.
We'll be so happy.
But it's been such a pleasure. I appreciate you so much for coming on with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
I truly hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed doing it for you. However, it doesn't have to end there. Come on over to our Facebook group community right now for free. You're going to get exclusive content that we weren't able to include in this episode as well as past episodes. We've got challenges, we've got research, we've got lives, you name it, all for you in bite-sized chunks so that you can continue this development journey. Go ahead, click the link right now in the description show notes, and we'll see you there.